Introduction. You are here because something inside you shifted. Maybe it was disappointment. Maybe it was betrayal. Maybe it was the quiet realization that the man you were becoming was not the man you were meant to be. Whatever brought you here, understand this. Your transformation does not begin with noise. It begins with clarity. Clarity about what truly matters. Clarity about what drains you. Clarity about who deserves space in your life and who never did. Clarity about the kind of man you will no longer apologize for being. This book is not entertainment. It is a return. A return to discipline, to self-possession, to internal power. A return to the kind of strength that cannot be taken, threatened, or shaken. Because the truth is simple. You were never meant to live controlled by impulses, by emotions you haven't mastered, or by people who do not recognize your worth. You were meant to live anchored, centered, sharp, a man who moves with intention, speaks with purpose, and walks with quiet, unshakable power. The world does not teach this. The world teaches reaction, attachment, neediness, emotional chaos disguised as passion, validation disguised as connection, distraction disguised as fulfillment. But you are not here to live as the world expects. You are here to unlearn, relearn, and ascend. And that journey begins with the Stoic truth that has shaped empires, legends, and leaders for centuries. You cannot control the world. You can only control yourself. And through controlling yourself, you influence the world. This is the core of every law you will learn in this book. Self-mastery is the foundation. Detachment is the shield. Silence is the strategy. Presence is the weapon. Patience is the timing. Boundaries are the fortress. And inner peace is the victory. You are not here to become hardened. You are here to become balanced, not cold, but clear, not detached from feeling, but detached from chaos, not emotionless, but emotionally disciplined, not unreachable, but unshakable. The world respects a man who knows himself, a man who protects his energy, a man who refuses to drown in places where others comfortably sink. By the time you finish this book, you will understand something most men never learn. A disciplined mind is the highest form of freedom. A mastered heart is the deepest form of strength. And a man who can walk away with grace is a man no one can control. The journey begins now. Turn the page, breathe in the silence, and step into the first law. This is the path back to yourself and toward the life you were always meant to lead. Law 1. Master your inner world. Before you touch the outer one, before you try to influence, attract, inspire, or lead anyone, you must first conquer yourself. The Stoics believed that a man's true kingdom is not land, wealth, or status. It is the space within his own mind. And the tragedy of modern life is that most men never rule this kingdom. They abandon it. They let emotions run wild. They let impulses make decisions. They let fear shape their choices. They let the world dictate their value. Law 1 is simple. If you do not master your inner world, the outer world will master you. The war within every man carries two versions of himself, the one he is and the one he knows he could be. The space between those two is the battlefield, and the moment you avoid that battle, you lose. You lose to distraction. You lose to desire. You lose to other people's opinions. You lose to the past you haven't confronted. You lose to the comfort that slowly breaks you down. But when you face that battle, when you sit with your discomfort, confront your flaws, and strip away excuses, you begin the process every great man has walked through. Self-governance. a Stoic truth to anchor you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In modern terms, the world doesn't owe you peace. People don't owe you consistency. Life doesn't owe you fairness. But you owe yourself responsibility. Mastering your mind means mastering your reactions, your impulses, your interpretations, your emotional responses, your inner narrative, your discipline. This is the soil where all future strength grows. The inner world shapes the outer world. When you master your inner world, people's opinions lose their power, rejection loses its sting, desire stops controlling you, anxiety loses its grip, uncertainty stops paralyzing you, toxic connections stop influencing you, your past stops defining you, and something remarkable happens. The outer world begins to align with the inner stability you've built. You become calmer, sharper, more intentional, more magnetic, more disciplined, more respected, not because you chased validation, but because you radiate a strength most people have never learned to cultivate. The practice of mastery. You master your inner world through stillness, reflection, journaling, discipline, silence, intentional solitude, emotional regulation, separating fact from interpretation, acting from reason, not impulse. This is not glamorous. It is not loud. There are no crowds applauding your growth. But your quiet, unseen discipline becomes the foundation of everything you will build next. You cannot influence others until you can influence yourself. You cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. You cannot command respect until you respect your own standards. Everything begins within. Law 1 in one sentence: conquer your inner chaos, and the outer world will never have the power to conquer you. Law 2, master your emotions before they master you. Your emotions are powerful. They can elevate you, destroy you, or expose you. But the one thing they should never do is control you. Most men today are ruled by their emotional storms. Anger dictates their reactions. Desire dictates their decisions. Fear dictates their future. Insecurity dictates their relationships. Impulses dictate their direction. This is not strength. This is captivity. Law 2 teaches a truth the Stoics lived by. You are not responsible for your first emotion, but you are responsible for your first reaction. The cost of emotional slavery. A man who cannot regulate his emotions is a man who ruins relationships he could have built, stays in situations he should have left, speaks words he can't take back, makes decisions he regrets, allows others to manipulate him, destroys opportunities meant for him. Emotional chaos is expensive. It costs you time, respect, progress, and peace. A man who has not mastered his emotions is unpredictable. A man who has mastered them is unstoppable. A Stoic truth to ground you. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," meaning most emotional storms come not from life itself, but from the thoughts we attach to life. You weren't destroyed by what happened. You were destroyed by what you told yourself it meant. The story, the interpretation, the noise. Stoic mastery begins when you separate the event from the emotion and the emotion from the reaction. Emotional mastery does not mean emotional suppression. A disciplined man feels deeply. He just doesn't crumble under the weight of those feelings. He expresses emotion responsibly, intentionally, and with clarity. He does not explode. He does not chase. He does not cling. He does not beg. He does not react impulsively. He does not outsource his emotional stability to someone else's validation. Emotional mastery is strength under pressure, stillness under chaos, composure under temptation, reason under intensity. It is not coldness, it is control, the practice of emotional mastery. You master your emotions through awareness of your triggers, observing feelings before acting on them, breathing before reacting, naming your emotion instead of drowning in it, asking, is this reaction useful? Delaying action when emotional, speaking only after regaining composure, journaling to separate fact from narrative, avoiding conversations when heated, choosing logic when emotion clouds judgment. This discipline is what separates the weak from the wise. How emotional mastery elevates you. When you master your emotions, you become harder to manipulate, you become more respected, you attract healthier connections, you make decisions that elevate your future, you protect your peace, you speak with more power because your words are deliberate, you move with certainty instead of desperation. You maintain dignity in the face of disrespect. You no longer chase what disrupts your stability. People trust a man who is emotionally disciplined. They fear a man who is emotionally explosive. But they follow a man who is emotionally composed. Law 2 in one sentence. A man who masters his emotions becomes the master of his life, because nothing and no one can control a mind he has already disciplined. Law 3, control your attention or lose your potential. A man's attention is his most valuable currency, not his time, not his money, not his effort, his attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Where your attention leaks, your power drains. Where your attention is stolen, your potential dies. Most men never rise, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because their attention is fractured, scattered, hijacked. Distracted men become defeated men. Focused men become dangerous. The hidden war for your attention. Every day, forces compete for control of your mind. Notifications, messages, drama, memories you should have let go. People who want your energy but won't give theirs. Impulses pulling you in every direction. Relationships that demand more than they return. Problems that aren't yours to solve. If you don't take command of your attention, someone else will happily guide it toward their goals, not yours. A Stoic understands this deeply. You protect your mind the way a warrior protects his weapon. What happens when a man loses control of his attention? He becomes inconsistent, exhausted, emotionally reactive, easily manipulated, unable to build momentum, dependent on external stimulation, distracted from his mission, confused about his identity. He falls into the trap of being busy instead of being effective. He mistakes noise for progress. He mistakes movement for direction. He mistakes attention for affection. This is the downfall of the unfocused man. He gives energy to what drains him and neglects what builds him. The Stoic cure, ruthless attention discipline. The Stoics didn't just preach focus, they lived it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build your life action by action," meaning one act of attention at a time, one decision at a time, one controlled moment at a time. Attention discipline means cutting off distractions, limiting emotional triggers, giving your mind only what strengthens it, refusing to entertain chaos, choosing your inputs with intention, focusing deeply on one thing instead of many. A man who cannot control his attention cannot control his direction. How your attention shapes your reality. Your attention determines what you notice, what you value, what you believe, what you pursue, what you tolerate, what you become. If you focus on problems, your life becomes heavy. If you focus on setbacks, your life becomes dark. If you focus on distractions, your life becomes chaotic. If you focus on purpose, your life becomes powerful. A man's world is shaped by what he repeatedly chooses to look at. The hidden power. In withdrawing your attention from her, there is one shift she feels more deeply than anger, distance, or silence. When your attention no longer centers around her, women can sense the moment a man's focus detaches. It unsettles them, not because you've abandoned them, but because they've lost access to the energy that once made them feel significant. Attention is emotional oxygen. Remove it, and everything changes. Your attention is not something you give lightly. You give it with intention to purpose, discipline, growth, and people who earn it. This is Stoic masculinity in action. You stop pouring into what drains you. You invest in what expands you. What happens when you take back your attention? You become more grounded, more respected, less reactive, more intriguing, harder to manipulate, more mission-driven, more self-possessed. You shift from being a man who chases validation to a man who builds value. And ironically, that's the moment people start chasing you. Why? Because nothing is more attractive than a man consumed by purpose. Law 3. In one sentence, control your attention and you control your world. Lose your attention and you lose yourself. Law 4. Withdraw your reactions and reclaim the power she once controlled. Every time you react, you hand someone a piece of your power. Every outburst, every emotional spike, every defensiveness, it all signals one thing: you can control me. Stoicism teaches the opposite. My emotions belong to me. My reactions belong to me. My power belongs to me. The moment you withdraw your reactions, not with coldness, not with hostility, but with calm sovereignty, the entire dynamic shifts. She feels it. People around you feel it. The world feels it, because nothing is more intimidating than a man who is unmoved. Why your reactions were her leverage. Most men don't realize this truth. She never needed strength to influence you. She only needed access to your emotional triggers. A sigh, a tone, a silence, a distant text, a passive-aggressive remark, and suddenly your whole mood would bend to her. She didn't need force. She had your reactions. Your emotions were the strings. She just had to pull. But when you stop reacting, those strings fall to the ground. This isn't cruelty. This is mastery. Emotional reactivity is a form of submission. The reactive man is a slave to external influences. Someone insults him, he explodes. Someone withdraws affection, he panics. Someone gives him attention, he becomes addicted. Someone gives him silence, he spirals. His emotions are not his, they are public property. A Stoic man, however, is different. He listens, he observes, he feels, but he doesn't lose himself. He chooses his reactions the same way a warrior chooses his weapon, with precision, intention, and control. The Stoic foundation: your mind is your domain. Epictetus said, any person capable of provoking you becomes your master. Most men don't hear the second half of that message, which is, master yourself and no one masters you. Withdraw your reactions and the entire power structure flips. You stop being predictable. You stop being manipulated. You stop being emotionally available on demand. You stop being easy to provoke. You stop being someone she can push to feel connected. Instead, you become the man whose presence requires respect, a steady force, an unmoved pillar, a centered mind, the kind of man she cannot shake. And that is exactly why she tries. What happens when she can no longer trigger you? At first, she'll test it hard. She'll poke the old wounds. She'll use the old lines. She'll press the old buttons. But nothing happens. Your breathing stays slow. Your posture relaxed. Your tone stable. Your eyes unbothered. You don't give her fire. You give her clarity. You don't argue. You simply refuse chaos. You don't engage her storm. You let it pass. And then something shifts inside her, a recognition she wasn't prepared for. She no longer has emotional power over you. That realization is louder than any argument you could have given. Calm isn't weakness. Calm is command. Weak men yell. Weak men argue. Weak men panic. Weak men chase. Weak men defend themselves endlessly. Strong men do not. Strong men choose calm because calm is control. Calm is confidence. Calm is clarity. Calm is strength under discipline. Your calm doesn't mean you're disconnected. Your calm means you are in full possession of yourself. It is the ultimate power. Your new rule. Do not respond to provocation. Respond to purpose. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every tone deserves your energy. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every silence deserves pursuit. Not every mood deserves to shape your day. You no longer react for the sake of reacting. You respond only when it serves your values. Your peace isn't up for negotiation. How Law 4 changes your presence forever. When you withdraw your reactions, you become unpredictable in the right way. You become emotionally untouchable. You become harder to manipulate. You become someone she must approach with respect. You create a psychological shift she can't ignore. You begin to feel lighter because chaos no longer enters your mind. You no longer bend. You no longer break. You no longer hand out your emotional energy like something cheap. Instead, your silence, your calm, and your self-governance speak with a power your old reactions never could. Law 4, in one sentence, withdraw your reactions, and the world loses its grip on you. Withdraw your emotions, and you regain your throne. Law 5, become the stillness that forces her to see herself. There is a kind of man whose presence acts like a mirror, not because he lectures, not because he argues, not because he tries to fix her, but because he is so still, so grounded, so unshaken that she cannot hide from the truth of her own behavior. Your stillness becomes her reflection. And for many people, especially those used to emotional chaos, your stillness is the most uncomfortable and revealing force they will ever encounter. Stillness is not emptiness. It is depth. Most men misunderstand stillness. They think it is passivity. They think it is weakness. They think it is surrender. But true stillness is none of these. Stillness is the discipline of not reacting, even when everything around you tries to provoke a reaction. Stillness is the strength to remain centered, even when someone is uncentered with you. Stillness is the choice to observe, not to absorb. Stillness is not shutting down. It is rising above. It is the posture of a man who refuses to be dragged into emotional chaos just because someone else lives there. When you choose stillness, she meets herself. Your stillness creates a void, a quiet, intentional space where her actions become visible to her. If she tries to provoke you, your stillness shows her the immaturity of the provocation. If she lies to herself, your stillness unmasks the lie. If she tries to pull you into a fight, your stillness reveals who is actually creating the conflict. If she is inconsistent, your stillness makes the inconsistency obvious. If she plays games, your stillness exposes the games. You don't have to call her out. You don't have to explain her behavior to her. You don't have to point out every inconsistency, mood swing, contradiction, or manipulation. When you are silent and unshaken, she sees it on her own. And what she sees, she can no longer deny. The psychological shift stillness creates. Here is why stillness is powerful. 1. It removes her ability to blame you. She can't say you escalated. She can't say you reacted. She can't say you triggered her. Your stillness removes every excuse. 2. It forces her to confront her own patterns. Most people avoid self-reflection by keeping others reactive. Your stillness strips that mechanism away. 3. It disrupts the dynamic she is used to. If she is accustomed to your emotional responses, your calm becomes impossible to ignore. 4. It elevates you above the chaos, and once you rise above it, you will never be willing to go back down. Stillness is how a man reclaims the frame. In any interaction, romantic or otherwise, the person who is calm, grounded, and steady naturally holds the frame. The reactive person is following. The steady person is leading. Your stillness reestablishes the frame without a single word. You are not passive. You are immovable. You are not detached. You are in control. You are not cold. You are composed. A woman feels safe with a man who is calm, but she also respects him, desires him, follows his lead, because stillness signals something deeper. No matter what happens, I remain myself. That is the highest form of masculine strength. But stillness does more than reveal her. It reveals you. Stillness is not just a mirror for her. It is a mirror for you. When your mind becomes quiet, you discover your values, your boundaries, your truth, your desires, your standards, your purpose. Stillness lets you hear your own voice again, the voice that gets drowned out when you live in reactivity. A man who practices stillness becomes hard to manipulate, hard to provoke, hard to influence, hard to unbalance, hard to distract, hard to break. He becomes a man with a center, and a centered man is rare. Rare is powerful. Powerful is respected. Law 5, in one sentence, your stillness is the mirror that forces others to face themselves, and the foundation that allows you to face yourself.